Hey guys, welcome to Priceless B Movies. I'm your host, Colin Price. And I often like to give the advice to people, even though I don't always follow it myself, that with certain movies, especially horror films, sometimes it's all the better. Sorry, there's the dog making noise. I hope that wasn't too loud. Sometimes it's better to go in without having seen every trailer for a movie. You know how sometimes they'll give away the best parts? With this one, I only saw the first trailer, and I thought, okay, this is interesting. Then was getting really good word of mouth. Okay, I'm going to check this one out. I don't know really what I expected, but a bunch of Irish vampires doing a jig in the middle of a field, that wasn't really on my bingo card for this, but hey, here we are. Sinners. Sinners is directed by Ryan Coogler, the guy who's handled the Creed films and Black Panther, which I thought was, one of the best movies of the MCU. And I don't know why, it's not like I don't like the guy's work, but he hadn't yet become one of those directors who I'm like, oh, Ryan Coogler did this? Okay, I'm in. But after this one, I'm going to have to change my mind on that. Sinners is about two twin brothers, both played by Michael B. Jordan, during Prohibition in the South.
You boys twins? Nah, we cousins.
And they've just spent some time in the military and then in Chicago working for the mob. Now they're back down in their homeland, and they're trying to put together a juke joint, their own nightclub in this area. Bear in mind, once again, Prohibition era in the South wasn't the easiest time or place to be African American, and this movie lets you know it. Race does play a huge role in this film, but we'll get to that later on. These two brothers, Smoke and Stack, the Smokestack twins, see what they did there, are back in town. They're trying to get the money going. They want to have their opening night for this place be incredible. So the first 40 or 50 minutes of this film are them kind of revisiting old family and friends, trying to get people involved. They get Delroy Lindo to try to do music, and then they get their little cousin Sammy, played by Miles Caton, to do music too once they realize how amazing his voice is. And then they get, Smoke gets his former flame, played by Wumi Mosako. I hope I got that name right. Please don't hate me if I didn't. And then Stack is his old flame. They both got to have him, right? Played by Haley Steinfeld, who really walks away with a lot of scenes in this film. And so they're trying to get everyone into this club so that their opening night is just a smashing success. They want to make money. And hey, who can blame them? The night seems to be going really well, until some uninvited visitors show up at the door asking very politely to be let in.
Hey there.
It ain't a... How may I help you folks?
Oh, we heard tale of a party.
Now, it's not much of a secret that this is a vampire film. In fact, structurally speaking, it's very similar to From Dusk Till Dawn, from 1996, the Quentin Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez film that a lot of people still know and love. It's definitely a cult film at this point. But the themes are very similar. It's not just, oh, we're going to a club and then there's going to be vampires. That's pretty on the nose. But in the sense that it's two brothers who are criminals who end up at this place. It's the different, the themes of, trying to get to this place to escape the dangers out there, but then different dangers out there become apparent. And there's a lot of similarities, even in the dialogue. The one thing that really surprised me about this film in a good way is that, in a lot of vampire movies, the vampires will say, oh, you should join us. You should be with us, and it'll be so great if you are, and that way we won't have to kill you. And then you always have that scene. But then so I was like, well, what's so great about being a vampire? Think about it. You're killed, then you're brought back, and you're immortal unless you're, staked in the heart, beheaded, light on fire, whatever the rules of that movie are. And then, supposedly you go straight to hell because you sold your soul to this monster. What's so great about that? This film kind of made vampirism look really good. I mean, when you consider the world that these characters live in and the constant persecution they're under, it's like to be given a gift of immortality and to be able to take revenge, but also, to be able to take revenge on the people who wrong you, but also to feel like you're a part of something. That's something that a lot of the characters in this movie are looking for. They want to feel like they're a part of something, that they have a family, that they have a purpose. Haley Steinfeld's character, she's grieving the loss of her mother, and she's looking for acceptance. She's looking for Stack to pay attention to her and give her what she wants from him. You have Wumi Masako's character, who's very much, wanting to amend. She and Smoke had a baby who didn't live, so she's looking for family and acceptance. So when these vampires show up and say, hey, you could be a part of our family, you really understand why that would be tempting to these characters. And it adds a lot of suspense to, like, what's going to happen? How is the night going to unfold? All of the actors are tremendous in this, including Jack O'Connell, I hadn't mentioned yet, who plays the lead vampire. I really liked his portrayal. I don't think I've seen him in too much else, but he's definitely an actor that I'm going to be watching out for now. And I haven't even started talking about the music. Oh my God, the music. The way this film uses music is incredible. I've said in certain videos in the past that when I was a kid, both my parents were music teachers. Music has played a tremendous role in my upbringing. And I've really grown fond of different genres, different kinds of music. But the way that this film uses music as metaphors for culture, among other things, it really struck a chord with me. The soundtrack to this movie is amazing. Every song. There are two standout musical sequences, though. One is Miles Caton performing a song called I Lied to You. It's the standout sequence of the movie for a lot of people. But I think just as good is Jack O'Connell doing a rendition of Rocky Road to Dublin. It's the scene I mentioned at the beginning of this review where all the vampires are having this weird but really cool Irish jig before they get ready to attack. One thing I will say about the film, and I've seen it a couple times now, and I'm a little more forgiving of it now, but the first time I saw it, I did think it took quite a bit too long to really get going. I said that first 40 or 50 minutes where you're getting introduced to all these characters, that's all well and good. I do wish that had been shortened to some extent. There's one scene where they're all in the car, and Delroy Lindo's character, who, God, he's so funny in this, but Delroy Lindo's character is telling the story about someone he used to know who got lynched by the Klan. And I get the purpose of the scene is to kind of remind the audience of the very real dangers that these characters live in every day. But also, the way that Delroy Lindo plays that scene and the way that the sound design plays as you hear these tortured screams of presumably this guy these horrible things are happening to in the story. And then the way that Delroy Lindo at the end of the story starts humming and starts singing, you really see how he uses music to deal with the traumas of his own life. I have so much more respect for that scene now, but the first time I saw it, I was like, you could have cut that. You could have cut that. That adds nothing to the movie. It did take me a couple times watching it to be like, okay, now I understand why that's in here. Still, I can see it infuriating a lot of people just how much time it takes for the story to really get rolling. Still, I got to agree with most critics and most theater goers that Sinners is one of the best films of the year so far. Sinners gets 4 stars. This is one of those vampire movies that I really think is going to go down in history. I think 20 or 30 years from now, people are still going to be looking at this just as fondly as movies like The Lost Boys or Bram Stoker's Dracula or Fright Night, as one of the great vampire movies that really did something different with vampirism and how it used it as a metaphor for appropriation and, just there's so many themes that I wish I could get in, but then this review would be like an hour long. I'm not going to do that to y'all. Still, if you haven't seen Sinners yet, I highly recommend it. You need to check it out right now. That's my review for Sinners. Stay tuned. I got a lot more coming. And thank you for watching Priceless B Movies.